Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Dr. Giselle Martin, aka Dr. Jazzy Fit. We make health simple on our channel, and today we are going to talk about financial health, which we know has severe implications and associations with your overall health outcomes. And so today I am joined by someone who I have admired for quite some time. He has wonderful advice. We have Andre Albritton, aka the Millennials Next Door, based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Andre is a personal financial and investing expert, and he's going to give us some nuggets today on how we can protect our finances and our credit during challenging times. So, Andre, thank you so much, and welcome to my channel. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. So as you mentioned, I'm from the Millennials Next Door. I've been running this brand, business for maybe like 3 years now. Maybe I forget the time, but it's been moving. So I just really like helping people out, helping them find out their finances. The quick history behind me is I used to work in a financial firm. There we helped retirees with their money. We're talking about people making six figures, but still somehow find themselves broke a little bit at the end of the year. Yeah. So from there, I found out that my goal and one of my joys in life isn't going to help people maintain their wealth, but to help people build up their wealth. So I decided to go about a different approach, talk with millennials early. So hopefully in a few years, if they just, listen to just a little bit of advice, take action, execute very well and be consistent, they might not need a financial planner later down the road. So that's like my always big goal. When they get up to 60, they kind of have their finances set up and they're good to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I personally have learned so much from you, just from your posts. So I've actually used some of your strategies to get out of debt myself. So thank you for your service to humanity. So
thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, we're recording this during the COVID outbreak, and people are having a really hard time. Like even the people who are working still and still have employment, they don't really know what to do with their finances. You hear some investors, like I was listening to Susie Orman the other day, and her tagline was "Don't pay your bills." I mean, and once I actually listened to it, it was interesting. She was saying, don't pay off your debt right now and to hold on to as much cash as possible. But of course, the tagline wanted to make people like, what?
Yeah. It's an attention grabber.
Right. Right. Because I was like, well, your landlord will still evict you, depending on where you are. I don't know if that's the best advice ever. But, even with that being said, people are trying to already find a way to save. So for people who, let's just say someone makes $60,000 a year.
Okay.
How can they find savings in their current budget with what they currently earn without getting a side hustle or starting a business or getting a part-time job? Where can they start?
Yeah, so I think the silver lining in all this COVID-19 thing is that we have been forced to be inside the house. So, a lot of places are closed. You can't go out to party anymore. You can't go out to restaurants. So hopefully some people are finding those savings already. Because no joke, like most of the times when I will talk with a client, most of their money is being spent on entertainment some way, somehow. The typical going out to movies, spending $50 there, going out to a restaurant, spending $100 there on a date. So I see a lot of people are finding the savings they have already now. Now, if these situations are not showing that you can still save without, staying inside, then it's time to take a look at all of the current bills. So usually the main culprits is going to be some of the internet packages, cable packages. You can always take out a little bit more of the power, but those are usually like the most typical culprits. Honestly, if you still find that your bills are still above your income, then it's time to kind of look at where you live, look at what type of car you're driving. It could kind of come down to some Dave Ramsey approaches where you might need to sell the car or you might need to downsize. You might have to just do what you can do right now to bring down the bills, as much as you can.
I've been there. So I do want to ask you, because yeah, you cannot go to the movies right now, but you have the movies at home where people, I mean, to me, honestly, because I bought Trolls for my daughter, she wanted to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was $20. And even if I took the two of us to the movies, I would not spend $20 typically.
Right.
And then, a lot of people are sitting at home and yeah, they might not be going out to eat and all of that stuff, but they're just buying things because everything is on sale. I have received so many marketing emails since COVID has started. It's like people who haven't emailed me in months, all of a sudden, like, hey, we're having a sale. I don't
Yeah.
want your stuff. So, what do you advise for people who have a habit of spending their money online? Because it's not always leaving the house and spending it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just having the stuff come to you, or you have Uber Eats or some of these other things that are way overpriced food wise. You can go to a 5-star restaurant and pay the same thing for Five Guys if you order from Uber Eats sometimes.
Right.
So I guess, is it more of a mental mindset? How do you keep people from clicking buy?
Yeah. Like, you hit it on the nail right there. So it is a mental mindset. Like, I think when it comes to financial freedom, this is an Andre fact. So like 93.78% of it is due to a positive money conscious mindset. So what I would advise for people, because I know I'm falling into this trap now. Like prior to this, I used to never really spend any money on Amazon, but now I am because I have all this discretionary income. It's like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I guess I could buy that now. I'll say this much too. It's okay to buy things online. It's okay to do the Uber Eats. I'm not asking anyone to like give it all up, but I think it's important to do it in moderation according to your budget. So if you find in the budget, you can afford to do maybe $50 on Uber Eats once every 2 weeks. Just do just that much. You might have to start hiding your money from yourself. So you can always do automatic savings. You can do the cash budget. That's where you just have everything cashed out. Of course, be very careful as you are carrying everything in cash now. But it's hard to go past the cash budget. So you set $50 for yourself. You can't go past that much anymore. So that's like a really good hard hit right there. And I'll say the last tip I have is to unsubscribe. So, as you mentioned, a lot of these companies are coming back to you. So, okay, we're kind of bored now. We need a little bit more money now. So yeah, they're going to do some good deals. And even though it's a deal, you're still spending money that you might not should be spending at the end of the day. So unsubscribe, get away from the temptation, and just kind of keep going about your regular life. It's just so much advertising and promotions that we see on a daily basis. You really have to unplug yourself. Even if like Google ads nowadays, well, those ads will just follow you. Type in sofa one time and you start seeing sofa on Facebook, you see sofas on Instagram and your email. They're so good at it that you have to like take extra precautions to get away from the advertising.
That's so true. Sometimes I wonder if like my phone's listening to me because it's like sometimes it's like I wouldn't have even Googled it. I might have had a conversation.
Right.
Like, how did you know this? What?
I tell you, it's like once you go down the rabbit hole, you start seeing it everywhere, no matter what.
Oh man, that is so true. I've used the cash method before, and I actually was able to generate a substantial savings by having it automatically deducted to an online savings account. So that way I had to go through a lot of steps to get my money. So even if I wanted to use it for something, oh, it's like a sale today. Okay, but you can't get your money for 2 days.
Exactly.
So, kind of thing. So I kind of like tricked myself.
Which is
But
the thing. I mean, it's not I'm tricking myself. I still trick myself to this day. I'm a personal financial expert, but I still have to play tricks on myself. Otherwise, if I see money in my account, I know my impulsions, and I know I'm more likely to spend that money on Amazon these days. Especially with me renovating a house. Oh, I do need that for the house. Let me get that. So no, it's okay to trick yourselves. It is nothing to feel down about or ashamed about at all.
I mean, hey, if it works, it works. I
Like,
mean, it's nice to pull up. It's really nice to open up an account and oh, I forgot I had money in that account. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's a good feeling.
yep.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I agree with you 100%. It's like nice money that you can just forget about and say, okay, it's there. I know it's there, and then you forget about it as time goes on. And if you need it, you need it. If you don't, even better.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So we're talking about cash flow and savings and all of that stuff. So you talked about people who might be living above their means and maybe they need to scale back a little bit. But what if it's not always that easy and they need to find a way to make extra cash? Are there any ways that they can increase their earning potential in a relatively quick way to maybe increase the amount of hours they're able to work or um, I don't know. Are there any options out there for people?
In today's society of technology, there are so many options. Personally, if you live in a big city, like Atlanta, Charlotte, LA, and you have a vehicle, you can make some extra money these days. So with that, I mean delivering food, because you have people like me who get hungry at lunch and I just don't feel like driving anywhere. So it's okay, let me get some Uber Eats, some Grubhub, some DoorDash. Those companies, I'm sure banking right now, because a lot more people are using them. You have Instacart. Pretty much you have to ride the side hustle wave, so to say. So, these side hustles might have not been too good pre-COVID-19, but COVID-19, they are hitting the spot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you have those. I know Domino's, they're like hiring a bunch of people now for delivery drivers because they have more pieces going out to people like me, trying to help the economy here. And FedEx, Amazon, they're looking for workers right now. I actually used to work inside one of those warehouses just as a part-time gig. And I'll say this much, like it's hard work, but it was the best shape I've ever been in my life. Like, man, my six
Lifting boxes.
like it was a general workout and I was getting paid for it. So I was kind of happy about the situation. Especially if you're in the military or you're trying to go to the military, there's a lot of people in that situation at warehouses, just exercising, getting paid for your time. So I think those are some really good options. And of course, if you have a side business, your own small business, now's a good time to ramp up on some things. Really focus in on the revenue side of everything, and see if you can make some extra money from there as well.
Absolutely agreed on all fronts. I've driven for Uber myself, Uber and Lyft. It was, I mean, yeah, because if you get a good long ride, it's like, oh yeah, that's $75. That's, that's great. So especially living in the DMV, like I get somebody coming from Baltimore to McLean, Virginia or something like that. It's like, I like you. Thank you for booking me today.
Yeah. So I used to drive Uber as well, and I'm going to emphasize again, you have to ride the side hustle wave. So I know for in Atlanta, I didn't make that much with Uber, unless it feels like on the holidays. So I only drove on the holidays with all the traffic in the world. But those were the days it really paid in Atlanta. Outside of those holidays, I like other side hustles. So, just depending on the city where someone might be living, Lyft might be a bigger deal. Uber might be a bigger deal. You might even have a better job as a taxi driver in New York City. So, just kind of see which side hustles are really paying the most. Because at the end of the day, there's no loyalty. So just get your money in there.
And the thing is, they don't discriminate. A lot of these companies, they don't have a non-compete clause. So it's not like in corporate America where you can't work for a competing agency with some of these side hustle places. So that's pretty cool. So one thing, I know a lot of people have credit score goals.
Mm-hmm.
what would you say would maybe be the top 3 things that someone could do to protect their credit score?
To protect the credit score. And when you say protect your credit score, are we referring to like fraud or just increasing it?
More so increasing it. I think more people have difficulty increasing their credit scores than, fraud. I,
Yeah, yeah,
so
fair. So the first point I'm going to make is it's like 2 points in one, but I'm gonna count it as one. So folks, just pay your bills on time as well as pay down your debt. So that's going to be a snowball effect in the end of things because if you pay your bills on time, that's 35% of your credit score right there. If you are able to get your debt down, so your debt utilization, whether you have a credit card, if you have any other outstanding loans, that's another 30%. So we're talking about 65% of your credit score is really based on 2 things, which is, paying bills on time and paying down your debt. So through my experience, because I was building my credit score about maybe 2 or so years ago, I started to get more aggressive to my credit card. And this is going to be the second tip. When you pay down your credit, what your banks will do is they'll give you a higher credit limit. Don't use the credit limit. That might be a trick, who knows? But it has a nice effect on your credit score because of the debt utilization. So with the debt utilization, if someone has a credit card for $1,000 and they have $500 charges on it right now, that a 50% debt utilization percentage, right? So most experts will try and get it below 30%. So with that $500 charge and the $1,000 limit, you have 2 options. You can pay off the money, so you can pay off the $500, bring your utilization percentage down that way, or you can get a credit limit increase, and then that way your utilization will still go down as well. And the bonus answer is you can do both of them and just fine all around. So I know that's what happened to me. When I was paying down my credit card, I did get credit limit increases. In fact, I still ask for a credit limit increase here and there, just to make sure I'll have that money in case of like a super duper emergency. Also just to keep my credit authorization down. So that's been working well. And then the third final tip, what I would say, is if you know someone that you are very close with, like a spouse, maybe a brother or sister or parent, see if they're willing to put your name on the credit card as an authorized user. So that's a really good hidden trick. So if your parents have good credit, they can put you on as an authorized user for the credit card, and you'll get some of those benefits automatically. So I think those will be my 3 biggest tips. There's still a few more, but I think someone does those 3 actions, they can start to see the credit score turning around rather quickly.
Awesome. Yeah. What's the last one? Do they call it piggybacking? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, I heard they call that too. So, I mean, whatever they call it, I'm all for it. It's just like an easy way. It's just like, hey, mom, can you put me on your credit card? Just need to get my points up a little bit. And that's really it. So, I mean, you don't really need to sign much. Your mother in that situation will do all the work for you and just kind of reap some of those benefits. Yeah, just make sure they have good credit first.
I would hope so.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, bring it down. It would be a disaster. Oh, no, what did I do? Take me off. That brings up a good point. Like, once you make somebody an authorized user, can you deauthorize them later?
Yeah, you certainly can. At the end of the day, it's your credit card. So you can take off a user, add on a user. I'm sure there's a limit to how many people you can add on. But yeah, you don't need to be blood related. You can add on a best friend if you want to.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good. And also, would the person who is now an authorized user, would they also be liable for the debt if the primary person defaulted?
So that's a very good point. No, they would not for the authorized user. Now, there are some loans, and these are like the typical loans that usually come out when you're a young kid. So if you're buying a car, you're like 19, your parents might have signed a loan with you. They might be on the hook for that type of loan, depends on what type it is. But just as an authorized credit user, No, there's really no negative side effects with that.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
good
it's a
to
nice
know.
sweet deal.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people use that. Yeah, that would be my first question. Be like, are you gonna make bills that I'm gonna have to pay for? Yeah.
Well, it's one-way street. It's just kind of doing a nice favor for somebody. That's how I consider it.
hmm Oh yeah, that's one of the nicest things you could probably ever do for someone. Um, so kind of going back to something you said earlier, the whole living below your means
Mhm.
kind of situation. The reality is that a lot of people live above their means in America. We're very commercialism driven society, and a lot of people live off of their credit cards and everything else. So when they start trying to pay off debt, it's really hard to pay off the debt because they've been living off of the debt pretty much, or incurring more and more debt to keep up a lifestyle. So if someone had eliminated their credit cards, but yet they're still making the same amount of money until they are able to get a higher paying job, how would you recommend that person prioritizes their bills? How would they, let me rephrase that. How would you recommend that a person prioritizes their bills
Yeah.
if they can't cover everything?
So yeah, that's a really tough one. Really, stuff gets real. So you got to get real with the situation. You might have to say, okay, I can't afford all of this. So write down a list of everything. I mean everything, including Netflix, even though it's like only $10 or $12 now, and start prioritizing. So I'd imagine, I'm hoping someone's gonna say, okay, my rent is number one. My rent or my mortgage. That should be number one.
You'd be surprised though.
I know, right? Some people say that, then they'll say the car, then they'll say this, that, shopping, and then just try and start nitpicking. Now, what I see people do with the regular finances is to say, Andre, I'm trying to save money. So say I'm turning off my lights early. I'm not eating out as much. I take off lunch once per week. And then I see a big item for like a trip coming up in 2 months that's like $5,000. I'm just like, whoa, what are you doing here? Let's focus on that big 5,000, and then you can eat out all you want.
So funny.
So you got that, and I'd imagine a lot of people they're gonna see that little car notes, plus the car insurance, plus the car repairs, plus gas. That might be a good area to really cut in on, especially if you have a high interest rate. And you might need to sell the car. You might need to just do bus a little bit, do Uber a little bit, do the math, see which one's gonna be more beneficial for you. But yeah, I mean, when things get real, you got to be real too.
That's a great point. I actually know several professionals, especially living in the DC area, who,
Mhm.
I mean, these people are lawyers, doctors. They completely got rid of their car because
Yeah,
it had become such an overpriced commodity where it's like, well, I could just walk or take the bus, or if I really just need to get there fast, I'll just call an Uber kind of thing. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's a really great recommendation for people.
my brother he lives in DC, and I've seen you guys' rent. So the rent is outrageous. The real estate is outrageous. I was like, how can you guys afford a house and a car at the same time? So yeah,
That's
the
why I
car.
drive a Honda. I'd rather have a mortgage and a Honda than a BMW and live in an apartment. I'm just saying.
No, and that's fair. Like if someone doesn't want it, that's fair too. And I always tell people owning a home isn't for everybody in your certain situation. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe kind of visiting DC for a year or two, you just don't want to make anything concrete.
Right.
That's fine.
Right. Yeah.
It just depends on the situation.
Yeah. It definitely depends on the situation and the person, and just what your priorities are.
There's so
Um,
many factors to it. It's a lot.
yeah. Exactly. If I was not a mother, maybe I would feel a little differently about prioritizing a home over whatever. Like,
Yeah,
it just depends on you and what you have going on.
I
Uh,
agree.
so, my last question for you would be, what steps would you take or would you advise someone to take if they lost their job? What would be the very next steps aside from filing for unemployment or something like that? But as far as rebuilding,
Gotcha.
where would they start?
Oh man, the first step I would imagine is to get yourself a drink. Um, yeah, I think that'd be the first thing I do.
Let me get my nerves together first.
Right. You might need it. So, if I lost my job, or if anyone lost a job, I say first off, reassess your situation. So if you have plenty of savings, then you can probably relax a little bit. You have a good cushion to fall back on. Maybe you have a roommate, so that means you don't have to worry about all the bills. It's only some of it. But let's take it into the case where the worst case scenario is where you don't have an emergency fund, which is key for get your emergency fund when you don't need it. So you have it when you do need it.
Right.
But yeah, if someone didn't have that, I'll say, man, it is time to sit down at the table and figure out a way to make more money. So you can, of course, cut expenses. But yeah, if you don't have any income coming in, there's no way for you to make the payments. So you got to focus on income first and then focus on your bills later and kind of go from there. See if there's any way that you can live with someone, live with your parents, live with a friend. Pretty much, like I said, when things get real, grown folks make grown folks decisions. You got to make those hard decisions at that time. And it might not be pretty. So you might have to give up a lot of items. You might have to find some other ways you can be creative with yourself as far as selling your services. You might have to do pizza delivery for the time being just to make things go by. There's a lot of ways to do it, but it always depends on someone's situation. But yeah, at the end of the day, you just need to sit down, assess your situation, write everything out on a piece of paper, how much you have, how much you owe on a monthly basis, what can you give up. Once you get that magic number, that's the magic number you need to aim for first. And then when you get that, just keep on going up and up. And you use this as a very good lesson, hopefully for the future. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But yeah, just use it as a lesson.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, and for people, is there a certain amount of time that it usually takes to build a substantial nest egg for these emergency times?
Yeah. So most experts, they still recommend, the 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. As far as like the time it takes, it just depends on the person. So, if you're living in DC and I'm imagining you're paying like maybe $2,000 for rent by yourself, you can.
2000, that's on the cheap end.
Jesus. Oh man, I don't know how you guys do it up there.
Let's just say for what I pay up here, I could live in a mini mansion in the South.
I believe that. Oh man, farm.
When I see people's homes in the South, I'm like, man, and you pay less for your home than I pay for mine.
Oh, it's a whole new thing.
Yeah, it's so I'd say on average, the average rent or mortgage up here would be closer to $3,000. So 3 to 6 months, that's almost 10 to 15 G's just for your mortgage. That's a lot of money.
When it comes down to that, I say use the laser focus to save everything you can. Of course, have a little bit of fun because I'm not even going nuts unless you just have that type of intensity. But, it might take you maybe a year or two. It depends on how much you have, how much discretionary income you have, and how focused you are. So, I always ask people on a scale of 1 through 10, 1 being that you want to get financial freedom, but you really don't want to do anything. 10 being that you want to sell your shirt off of your back to get a little bit extra money. Gauge yourself to see how dedicated you are to financial freedom. Because one thing I have learned is some people do want that, but it don't mean they really want it. It's like, what's the quote? The Marines say everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to get shot. It's kind of like that too. So you have to kind of really gauge yourself and be realistic, set the goals, break it down to a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis, a monthly basis, something that you can really track yourself and say, okay, this is how I'm gonna hold myself accountable. And also another good tip, I would say join some of the communities here on Instagram or on Facebook, like join a Facebook group. It's great motivation. These are like people that you will work out with, but in a financial sense. So they're going to keep you on your toes, keep you motivated. So I think that'd be a great tip as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I I mean, kind of in a similar vein, I would say like stop hanging out with your friends who like to spend too much money. I mean, maybe not stop hanging out with them, but just know that when it comes to this particular person, you have to draw the line somewhere. um, I used to have like I have a friend who is very liberal with their funds, and I would go out there and try to be liberal too. And I was like, oh, dang, I got to take all this stuff back. And then after a while, I went through this intense year of just paying stuff off, and that's how I got out of debt. But when I tell you I didn't do anything, it was the most boring year ever. But looking back, not having people calling me and having money in the bank, that makes it worth it. So I'd say for people who are going through it, it's only temporary.
Yeah. For millennials, I say one of our main issues when it comes to money is just taking delayed gratification. So we want a lot of things now, kind of like, the regular microwave, I guess. We want it hot now. Don't put it in the oven. Skip that. But yeah, like if you put in a good year or two, you'll be amazed at what you can honestly get done. Because at the end of the day, you're going to keep on aging no matter what. So if you want a house at like age 25, but you keep going about your regular day, you're not saving anything, you're going to still want a house in 5 years. That want doesn't really go away. So you might as well get it out of the way now so you can enjoy your life later on in a better mindset.
Going back to mindset. That's awesome.
It's the key.
It is the key. I mean, shirt off your back. That's kind of intense. But
you'd be surprised. Like those electric scooters like the Birds and the Limes.
Mm-hmm.
So I always brag about my one friend here in Atlanta. He paid off of all his debt, like at least $90K. He's a teacher. And the majority of it was made by charging scooters. He would charge like 20 to 30 scooters per night. And he was on that mindset. He got it all paid off.
How does that work? Getting paid to charge scooters. I mean, how do you even get into that?
Fun enough, like when I first saw it here in Atlanta, maybe like a year and a half ago, because I did them pretty intense last year. I saw some lady get a scooter in broad daylight, throw it in her trunk. She's driving like a Honda Corolla. And my first thought was like, she's still in that scooter? I said, do I call the cops or something? I don't know. Anyways, I end up researching more about it. And yeah, so pretty much the companies, Bird, Lime, they'll pay a certain amount. Right now, they pay about $5 per scooter. You'll grab the scooter at night, put it in your car, take it home, charge it in a regular hour, and then you drop it off in the morning. So right now, they pay the $5, right? But once upon a time, maybe it was like 2018, it was like the wild, wild west. Some scooters you would be paying $10, some would pay $15, some would pay $20.
Wow.
No lie, like in Atlanta, it was the biggest craze. You had people in U-Haul trucks collecting scooters at night, and you will see kids hop out the U-Haul trucks. The kids run and grab the scooters and bring it back into the truck. And you see their dad or something like that just driving off into the next stop. It was like the wild, wild west. It was a crazy time here. But no, since then it's calmed down.
I mean, that's intense. You rent a U-Haul truck and get your whole family involved. But I mean, $20 a scooter though. Like think about if you got like 20 of them mugs a day.
Right. So
that's a good little side hustle.
It was great. I mean, I wasn't complaining. I have my little Nissan Versa. I'll pack my little Nissan up. I'll get maybe 8 scooters. I said, okay, maybe today I'll make 50, maybe I'll make 60 or 70.
Wow.
And now I'm an early riser as it is, so I'm already waking up at 5. It was a good gig. And just to reiterate, that's why you ride those waves when you can. Because now it doesn't make that much money. So it is what it is.
maybe not, but $50 a day extra adds up, especially if you're just trying to save. $50 a day over what's 50 times 365. I'm just saying that,
That's a
you
lot
know,
of
exactly. Like it adds up. So I think that's an excellent idea. Anyway, Andre, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to having you again because you are a wealth of knowledge. Guys, check him out. I will put all of his information below. Check him out. He will change and bless your life. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Andre. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. See you next time.
Peace.